Welcome to Crafty Beach. This is Julie. I have a fun coastal black cat coffee bar for you today for Halloween. But first, don't forget to hit subscribe, the bell to be notified when I post new videos, and a thumbs up is always appreciated. Okay, the first project we're going to do today is going to be a wall hanging to go above my coffee bar. I'm going to use one of these little square signs from the fall section at the Target dollar spot. They're $3. They're really great, thick, two-sided signs. And then I'm going to use this little black cat from the Dollar Tree. And I'm just using my heat gun and a scraper to pop off that jack-o'-lantern face. That is the top piece of that sign. I don't really want that for this project, so I'm just going to pop that off. Now, I do want the pumpkin, but I thought it might be easier if I separate that so that I can paint those separately. These two were definitely glued on a lot stronger than just the jack-o'-lantern face, and I kind of do put the pumpkin in the same spot. I guess I could have left it on there because it was definitely glued on really tight, especially like up at the stem area, but I just keep using my heat gun. The heat gun works really well to help take these signs from the Dollar Tree apart. If you don't have one, I would highly recommend picking one up. That one I got on Amazon for like $10 and I love it. I'll post a link below. Now on our little cat here, we have the two holes from where you can hang it. And I'm just going to fill that with some nail hole filler. I'm trying that instead of speckle to see if it works a little better. It did a pretty good job. And I am planning on putting this little black cat on that square sign. I want to make a nice sign to go above my coffee bar area. I have kind of a small coffee bar in my house because I have one of those water machines that heats your water, but it also has a built-in Keurig, so I use that for my coffee every day. So I kind of have a unique area, but I like to decorate it nonetheless. So I'm just using chalk paint by Waverly in the color of ink and going all over our little cat to make him a nice black cat for Halloween. I love black cats and I think this one's really cute. So once I get him painted, it really only takes about one coat of the chalk paint on that raw wood from the Dollar Tree. And then there was a few chips in that pumpkin from me trying to get it apart. So I was just using a little of that nail hole filler to fill that in, a little sanding, and that one's ready to go. I thought I didn't really want an orange pumpkin. I wanted it to look really coastal. That kind of goes with my theme. I'm just mixing together a little agave and ivory for a nice blue, light blue color. And I think this makes it really coastal. We're going to have this little black cat like he is at the beach for Halloween. So I used that light blue color to color in the pumpkin. And then I wanted to kind of mark off the sections. So I actually use like a mint green. I do end up changing the color of that just to kind of define the sections of my pumpkin. And now I'm ready to distress. I really like distressing things because I think it looks really coastal. So I'm just using one of those chunky brushes from the Dollar Tree and some ivory chalk paint. You'll notice I kind of go around the edges first and make sure I get all of those. And like the eyes and the nose and the details. And then I go back with a baby wipe and wipe off the excess. And I also kind of go all over because I want like a nice rustic feel to my kitty cat. And I wanted him to be still kind of black. I think I kind of made him a little gray. So I'm going back and forth with just a little bit of that ink and the ivory and getting the right level of distressing. I think I may have wiped off a little bit too much. Sometimes you can do that with a baby wipe, but that's okay because you can always just distress it again. And now I'm using a few of these little wood dominoes from the Dollar Tree. They're going to be helpful when putting the sign together. And I wanted one of those to be blue, and you'll see why in just a second. Now to give this an extra coastal feel, I'm going to go around that square sign that I got at the Target dollar spot. And I'm just going to glue some of this Dollar Tree rope, just with hot glue, all the way around the square, just to give me a really nice rope border, and it's going to give my sign a little bit more of a coastal feel. They have these signs in square and I think rectangle. I don't think they have a circle in the Target dollar spot. But again, they're really good signs. One side is black and one side is like a light wood color. And I'm going to use the light wood color sign. I think that looks like a nice beachy color of wood. So once I get that all glued down, I'm going to just leave the hanger on there, and then I'm going to go around with my flame and just burn off the little excess little pieces of string that are hanging off my rope. And I can start thinking about how I'm going to put my cat together. Now, this is why I wanted to do one of the dominoes blue, because I wanted it to shine through and give my little black cat some blue, coastal blue eyes. Not green for this kitty cat. So I'm just trimming that domino. Those things are so easy to cut. They're kind of like popsicle sticks, and then I'm just going to hot glue that on so I make sure that I get it lined up right. I want his eyes to be blue, but I don't want his nose to be blue. So I just glue that onto the back of my cat, but now it's a little off-sided. So I'm going to use a few more of those dominoes to glue to it, and then I'm going to glue those dominoes to my wood sign so that my cat will be level with that additional domino behind the eyes. I could have always painted the wood behind it blue too, but this was an easy way to get it in there perfectly. And then I want to give a little coastal touch to my blue pumpkin, so I'm just going to wrap the stem of the pumpkin with that twine from the Dollar Tree just to give that little pumpkin more of a finished look. And I have another domino there, you see, and I'm going to use that too so that I can attach this pumpkin to the front of the sign and it will be level too. I'm going to kind of put there in front of the kitty cat. And so I am just going to hot glue that domino down and then hot glue the pumpkin to the bottom surfaces there. So now we have our little black cat. He's nice and distressed with his pretty blue eyes. We have our blue pumpkin, and then I thought I would use one of these little laser cutouts from the Dollar Tree. They're beautiful little wood cutouts and give my little pumpkin more of a coastal touch. So I'm going to use just a little seashell from my collection for the top of my pumpkin, and then I'm just going to hot glue on that little laser etched dolphin, just for a fun little decoration for the top of my pumpkin. And then I have a little area over here with nothing in it, so I thought I would just glue on a few seashells just for fun, just to make it look like our little black cat is visiting the beach. Then I just take some of that twine and I tie off like a super simple little bow. And I'm also going to attach that to the stem of the pumpkin just to give it a little extra detail. And it's looking super cute. I decided that I wanted to distress it a little bit more. You know me, I love distressing things. So I did give a little bit more distressing to my kitty cat. Now you'll see I have a rope, or beaded rope there from the Dollar Tree. I was so fortunate to find the wood beads at my Dollar Tree one time. And so I'm actually going to replace the hanger with these. I think that'll give it another little fun and detail. And I think the natural colored wood beads look really kind of coastal and fit with my feel too. Before I cut it off, I'm going to tie that piece off with twine so that it doesn't, like, all the beads don't fall off. And then I'm just going to use those existing holes that were on that sign and the twine that is on the beaded garland and tie that off. And we're going to make a little wood bead hanger for our sign. And I end up using wood beads in another project, and so I think the two of them like tied in nicely. And again, I plan to hang this above my coffee bar area, but you could hang this anywhere in your house. And if you don't have a coastal theme in your house, you could also always do this and make it a little bit farmhouse as well. Now, I didn't really like the little blue lines on my pumpkin. I didn't really think you could tell the sections of it. So I'm trying to use a white paint pen. I got this white paint pen at Walmart and it's terrible. I have a great set of paint pens that I got on Amazon, but of course I use all my white because I guess I use it all the time. So I just decided to take a little tiny brush and some of the ivory chalk paint and go in and kind of draw the sections on the pumpkin. And I also want to go around the edges too and just kind of give a sloppy little beachy coat just to bring out my pumpkin a little bit more. It looked just a little bit plain for my liking. And then just add a little tiny bit of distressing all over. And even to my little dolphin, I can't have him looking too perfect. And then just use a baby wipe to wipe off some of that little distressing. And our little black cat visits the beach sign, I think is ready to go. What do you think? Okay, the next project. So I got this little cat at the Dollar Tree and it's covered in stuff. So it's got like all this tinsel stuff all over it. Maybe it's decorated for like Day of the Dead. I'm not really sure. But I like the structure of the cat and I thought I could do something really fun with this. So the first thing I have to do is try to expose the little cat cage that's underneath. And so the face was pretty easy to cut off. Now the ears are just like paper and cardboard like glued to the ears. So there was a little bit of cleaning up. I just cut up the middle and then I just pull everything off the sides. Now the ears did have to be cleaned up. I used my heat gun and a little bit of a scraper to try to get off the paper and the glue that was on the ears just to give me a good base coat. And you guessed it, I am gonna wrap this cat in rope. I kind of tried to research this to try to find somebody else that had done this project and I couldn't find anything. So we're gonna do a rope cat here. I'm using this, it's like the smaller size rope from the Dollar Tree, and this is about how far one of those strands of rope will go. And when I go to switch off for a new one, I make sure that I'm on the back of my cat, and then I'm just kind of hot gluing it to itself to end it and to start my new one. And then I am going around until I run out of that second one. I end up using quite a few of these packages of rope for this project. Now my back's not looking as pretty, but that's okay as long as my front looks pretty even. I'm just gonna keep going up until I get to the neck of my little black cat. Now when I get to the head area, I'm gonna have to try a different strategy because once I get to the ears, I'm not gonna be able to wrap it around. So I thought I would start in the middle. And it's not a circle, it's like an oval. So I'm gonna kind of do an oval, a round and around circle. As you can see, they're really flat. That way I can keep going around and around. And I'm just hot gluing it to the cage and hot gluing it to itself a little bit. And just making an oval that is the same shape as our little cat's head. And you'll notice when I wrapped the body part, I went and cut those little clips off the sides that were sticking out so I didn't have to deal with those. Now the clips on the face, I just left them on there. I do trim off the little hanger there, and then I can wrap the little ears. So I'm gonna wrap the ears in that rope as well. My rope's not quite long enough, so I'm going to have to stop and start again here just for the tip. And my camera died. And the only thing you missed is that I did the other ear as well. Now I'm going in with some twine from Walmart just to fill in like any of the little areas there on the head area that were, you could still kind of see a little bit of plastic and make it look finished. And then I'm going over with a flame to burn off any of the extra fibers sticking out of my rope. And I think it looks really cool like this. But, you know, I was like, this is a black cat project for Halloween. I thought about using some raffia for whiskers or a seashell for the nose, but I thought that might be too much. Now to make it black, I'm just going to use this chalk paint by Waverly in the color ink. And I did test on the back there to see if I could paint rope because I've never really painted rope before. Chalk paint works so well on so many things though. So I just go over the body. I'm using one of those chunky brushes from the Dollar Tree. I found that worked really well. It's going to give me a really nice distressed coat all over the surface of our little black cat. And I like the fact, you know, the rope makes it feel very coastal, but you can still see some of that shining through. But I did want it to be a black cat for sure. Now I need to make a base because I want this cat to stand up. So I'm going to use one of those bamboo cutting boards from the Dollar Tree and a ruler that I got for like $1 at Target. And so I found the middle of my board where I want to put my thing. Now I'm thinking about putting the ruler up through my kitty cat like that and then gluing that to my base somehow. But I didn't really like how unfinished and ugly the back of my cat was. Since I'm doing it, it's going to be standing up. You might be able to slightly see the back, and I like to have my projects look finished. So I'm just using some burlap that I had. It could be anything. And I am just hot gluing that to the back just to cover up, you know, all the places that I started new ropes. And then the head area is like a hot mess because I had to do several different techniques to get that all wrapped around the ears and the face. So I'm just using a couple pieces of burlap and just gluing those down, and that's going to give me a nice finished back for my little black cat. Now for the cutting board, I wanted to cut a groove that I could glue that ruler down into that I'm going to use to make a stand. So I just drilled a couple holes with a pretty large drill bit and then just kind of went from one to the next to try to make a little opening in the bamboo to put my ruler down. Now my first attempt here, I used just a little bit of wood glue and a little bit of hot glue, and then I slide that ruler in and then I let it sit to dry. I use a little bit more hot glue there to secure it. And I really wasn't sure about this, but I did weigh it and let it dry. It did not work. It fell apart immediately. And I think it's because the wood glue and the hot glue mixed together, and you're not really supposed to mix those glues together. They don't work that well together. So this time I'm going to try again. But this time I'm just going to use hot glue. So I hot glue the ruler down into my stand, and then I also use hot glue on the front and the back with the rope and between the rope and the thing, but I still felt it needed more support. So I'm just gluing a one of those giant Jenga blocks that I got at Five Below. It can be anything to the back, just because you're not going to be able to see it, but it's going to provide just a little bit more of a stability to my cat. I don't want it falling off. Now I want to do something with my bamboo cutting board. I want to decorate it, so I just went over with some school glue and a paintbrush, and then I am just covering the bottom of the sign in sand that I got at the Dollar Tree. So this black cat is definitely going to be at the beach. He's going to be like on a little sandy area, and I thought that was a fun way to bring in a coastal touch to this little black cat. Now, once I get a layer of sand down, I find the best way to get that to stay is to use some of this spray glue that you can get at the Dollar Tree and to spray on top of that sand. And then I'm going to put just a little bit more sand down and spray the adhesive as I go. And that is going to glue that sand to my board and make it stick a little bit. Now I want to do some pumpkins. I picked up this blue pumpkin pick from the Dollar Tree. It's got 3 blue pumpkins on it, and they're like really pretty. They're made out of a velour material. I decided to use two different sizes, and then I decided some seashells might be fun too, since this little black cat is at the beach. I know it's kind of hard to see with my cat there in the way, but I'm just hot gluing 3 shells over on this side. 1 kind of lean up against him, and 2 kind of in front of him in the sand. And then on the other side, I'm going to do the pumpkins. Now, they were a little too bright turquoise, and the stems were a little too brown and plastic. So I'm just using a chunky brush and some ivory chalk paint. And I'm distressing that stem and then toning down that bright blue color and taking away any shininess that was on that velour and making these little pumpkins look super coastal. And I'm just going over with very little paint on that blue because I don't want to paint them white. I just want to slightly distress them. And I like that color. And so I'm just going to attach those to our sand with hot glue as well. And these are going to sit on the right side of our cat. So cute. I thought it was done. Then my son was like, no, 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 it needs a tail. It has to have a tail. And I'm like, oh, Lord, how am I going to make a tail for this thing? So I'm trying. Okay, so the tail was kind of hard. I'm using some of this, that thick floral wire from the Dollar Tree. And it doesn't matter what color. And I'm just kind of shaping what I think that the cat's tail would look like, making it nice and long. And I'm going to use that same rope to hot glue and start wrapping around my little wire tail. I wanted it to be wire because I wanted to be able to pose it and make it look like a nice cat tail, like the right shape and stuff like that. And this was a little challenging because there wasn't a lot to glue this to. I was having to kind of glue it to itself. And then I would wrap a couple and glue it to itself. The biggest problem with this tail was that I used so much rope on my cat that the only rope I had left were little scrap pieces. So I did have to start and stop several times on this tail, which probably took me a lot longer. So basically, I'm gonna just try to make this tail out of the wire, and I will go in and paint that black as well to match my cat. And then I'm going to try to find a way to attach that to my cat because my son says this cat has to have a tail. I kind of agree, but I thought I was going to get away with it. Not with this kid around. Okay, so I got the whole thing wrapped in rope. My biggest problem was getting it to stay on there. I kept working. And then I'm using my heat gun and flame to kind of clean it up a little bit because I had a lot of hot glue going on. And then again, I'm using that ink chalk paint and I'm going on both sides and painting my little rope tail black. Now I'm going to use lots of hot glue to attach that to the side of my kitty cat. I'm kind of more on the back there. I do try to kind of pull it around on the side a little bit more. Just to try to make it where a cattail would come out. And I was actually able to attach it to my cat, but it was almost as difficult as the cat, that tail. But I finally got it together and looking good. Okay, that project is complete. You'll be able to see it at our final reveal. Now, next up, I found this great sign at the Target Dollar Spot. It was $3. It's a two-sided Halloween sign. Now, I wanted to make a personalized sign for my Black Cat coffee bar. So I am using fingernail polish remover and trying to take that paint off. I was really excited at first because it was working, right? And then it just stopped working. And I'm like, oh, well, I tried. I gave it my best effort. Because what I want to do is I want to have a black sign that I can use my Cricut and some vinyl from the Dollar Tree to make a personalized sign. But I'm going to have to cover up that white writing first. So I'm just going to go in and do one coat of ivory chalk paint all over the sign. And that's going to help me cover up the white writing on the sign when I go to make it black. So I know that's not great coverage, but it's enough coverage because I think we got a lot of the paint off. So I just dried that with my heat gun real quick, and then I'm going in with that chalk paint by Waverly in the color of ink and just going all over. I want a nice black canvas for our sign, and I'm leaving the ghost sign on the other side. I think that's really cute, and I could always just pull it out and switch it out if I want to make it a ghost sign. I love these signs from the Dollar Tree. They are great quality for $3. But again, you could always do this with any sign from the Dollar Tree. Now here is my Dollar Tree Cricut vinyl, and I did Black Cat Coffee Company, and then I have a little cat. I will look up the font on this and try to put that in the description if you want to make one the same. And then I used a cat just from Cricut Design Space. They didn't really have one that was simple, and so I kind of took one they had that had a moon like on the forehead, and I used the contour to take out almost all the details except for the eyes and the nose and the whiskers. And then I'm going to use my favorite paper transfer paper. I will post a link below for that as well. I get that on Amazon to transfer that. And if you're wondering what I'm using there to weed it, it's one of the Cricut Bright Pads. It works really well on the white vinyl especially. Now, I don't want this to be a hanging sign, so I'm just going to unscrew the little hanger that was on the top and go ahead and slide that in so I know exactly where I want my vinyl to go. And I'm just going to line that up and peel off my transfer paper, and that is all I'm going to do with this sign. I wanted it to be the right colors, but super simple. I'm not really going to do anything coastal with this. The only thing that's really coastal is that light wood frame. So Black Cat Coffee Company. And then I just use a sanding block to kind of get that vinyl to stay down. And then I want it to be a standing sign, so I'm going to glue one of those Jenga blocks to the back as well, just to weigh that down. It can be anything, just to make it stand up on my coffee bar. Okay, the last project we're going to do today is a little pennant banner. I have like a shelf above my coffee bar, and it has like a little cabinet that opens for my coffee lids, and I like to decorate that with a little garland. So I thought I would use the cats come in the Halloween section right now at Dollar Tree, and then I got the little pumpkin ornaments from the fall section. So I painted the cats in ink, and I painted the pumpkins in agave, and then I'm just going over and distressing them with my chunky brush and some ivory chalk paint by Waverly. I want them to look a little distressed, but definitely black, my little black cats. I think those are super cute. And then I'm going to distress my pumpkins as well. Now, I end up doing little sections here too, to kind of like, you can kind of see the little bump outs to kind of give more depth. And then I go back in with a baby wipe and wipe off the excess, but I'm trying to leave like just a little bit darker areas there to show the different areas between my pumpkins. Now, I don't have a very big area above my coffee bar, so I was thinking 4 would be enough. I do end up adding one more, but again, I'm going to use some of that fun wood bead garland from the Dollar Tree. Oh man, I hope I can find this again. And I am just going to start using the little hangers that came with the ornaments and tying those on to the wood bead garland. I thought that would be fun to tie that in all together. So I'm just kind of counting and seeing if they fit. They're a little crowded, so I just kind of keep working with it. I had done like every 8 beads, and then I decided I wanted to do every 10 beads. And I end up getting the 4 on there, and I go and I try this out, and it just didn't look right. I think I need it to have like an odd number of things hanging from my pennant banner, so I decided to add a starfish. I got these this summer at the Dollar Tree, and in with their beachy stuff, and it's just a wood starfish, and I painted that in the color of pumpkin. I know I hadn't used that color in any of my other projects, but I thought it would stand out well and give a little contrasting color. And then I'm just using my white paint pen to try to paint the little circles on. Again, that paint pen, terrible. And then I'm also going to use my ivory chalk paint and a chunky brush, and I'm going to distress my little starfish as well. Now I'm going to go in and put the starfish in the middle of my pennant banner, and then readjust all of them. It's going to be the same length, but it just didn't look right the way that I had it before. So I found the middle of my beaded garland, and that's where I'm going to tie on my starfish. And I'm still going to do every 10. I'm just going to do like half of that on the end, so there's only going to be like 5 on each end. Just make it work for whatever space you've got. And then I'm like, wait a minute. Since I need like the black cats to be symmetrical, so this isn't right. So then I gotta back off. And I'm like, okay, so I want the black cats on each end, and then the blue pumpkins, and then the starfish in the middle, and that looks way better, like totally symmetrical. It was kind of a work in progress, this pennant banner, but it ended up turning out really cute. And I'm glad I used the wood bead garland to do that. I think it gave it another little fun coastal touch. And I'm glad I brought the starfish in as well. Okay, this is final reveal time. We have all of our projects we put together here and how they look on my coffee bar. What do you think? I had a lot of fun putting these projects together. I was trying to be really creative, trying to bring black cats and give them a coastal feel. I try to do most of my seasonal projects in coastal because it goes great with my beach house and I love it. So again, we have our little black cat sign that we made earlier with our little blue coastal pumpkin. And then our black cat, that's a rope cat. That thing turned out fantastic. I love it. He's got a little sandy beach complete with seashells and pumpkins. We have our Black Cat Coffee Company sign that we made with a Cricut vinyl from the Dollar Tree and a Target Dollar Spot sign. And our little black cat pumpkin and starfish. Who knew all those things could go together? Pennant banner. What do you guys think? I had so much fun putting this project together for you today. Please don't forget to hit the like button if you enjoyed this video, and don't forget to subscribe. Until next time, bye.